With the early signing period concluding, I wanted to take an opportunity to go over a little bit of our most recent recruiting class. First of all, I want to give my staff all the credit for, I think, a job well done over the past several years. And each of the assistants had a hand in the three guys that we've signed. Stephen Pearl was the primary on Justin Powell. Ira Bowman and Stephen were the primary on Sharif Cooper, and Wes Flanagan was the primary on Chris Moore. I think our guys that work really, really well together, complementing each other, and putting this together. These are three great kids. They are very competitive. They've played in great AAU programs. Regionally, when you play high school basketball in Kentucky, when you play high school basketball in West Memphis, Arkansas, and you play high school basketball in the heart of Atlanta, you're in some tall timber. Sharif Cooper's a national champion. He was the player of the year in the country last year. He could have gone anywhere and been the point guard. We were the common denominator with this group, and I think with our success over the last several years in recruiting, it's been we got there early. It became real fashionable to recruit Sharif Cooper 2 years ago, but it wasn't 4 years ago when he was, very undersized and. But we told you that Jared Harper was going to be worth the price of admission, and you could say that again when it comes to Sharif Cooper. But he and his family appreciated the fact that we were first and really truly believed in him. He's special. He's unique. He's rare. He's a great competitor. All he wants to do is win. Makes everybody else around him better. But it's been 4 years. Justin Powell talks about the fact that I chased him and Walker Kessler around a bunch of remote gyms when they were freshmen and sophomores. And we were one of the very first to offer Justin, and he appreciated that. He and his family remembered that. And the thing I love about Justin is just the fact that while you're going to recognize what a great shooter he is, like he can make it from Kentucky with the baskets in Auburn. I mean, if he can see it, he can make it. He's a great shooter. But the thing I love about him is that he really wants to be a complete player. He's worked on his body, he's worked on his speed, his quickness, so that discipline, that work ethic, that recognition of his great skill, but also the desire to be a more complete player. Also a great competitor. But it's been 4 years, 4 years. And then, hiring Wes Flanagan. Wes Flanagan been recruiting Chris Moore since, I don't know, he's got Allen going through the biddy ball stuff, back in the day. And so he's very familiar with those kids from Arkansas, family friends. And we were Chris's first official visit a couple years ago, and they fell in love with the place. And they used Auburn sort of as that barometer. Everywhere else they went, how did it compare to Auburn? Chris is such a matchup nightmare for the opponent. Like Isaac Okoro, he'd guard 1 through 5. He's physically tough, great competitor. And I've said this, if you want to brand Auburn basketball and use a guy like Chris Moore as far as that's the brand of Auburn basketball, I'd be fine with that. He can put the ball down the floor. He can create off the bounce, and gives you great versatility. But we've been recruiting him for 3 and 4 years. So while everybody wants to look at the Final Four or the league championships the last couple of years and say, well, that's the reason. It really isn't. It's just good old-fashioned hard work and getting in early and grinding and doing your job. And that's what I want to give my assistant coaches credit for. But it's been 4 years. Just 4 years. And then, hiring Wes Flanagan. Wes Flanagan been recruiting Chris Moore since, I don't know, Does it help the fact that we've had more success the last couple of years with the actual signing of the documents? Yes, it probably does. It probably finishes the job. And for that, I'm grateful to everybody, all my former players and staff and our fan base for helping us. But we've had top 25 programs 5 out of the last 6 years. But we've not had, probably, but they've all been probably between 20 and 25. It's just an area that we kind of hunt. We feel like we can get players in the top 100, 125 players in the country, and every now and then, pick off a Sharif Cooper, pick off a Mustafa Heron, pick off an Austin Wiley. Sharif's got a chance to be our first McDonald's All-American. It's harder for guys that don't go to all the brand name schools, the Blue Bloods, to get into the McDonald's All-American game. I don't mind saying it publicly because it's true and it's wrong. I'm hoping that Sharif Cooper's ability, his championship a year ago in high school, the incredible leadership he's shown on the EYBL circuit for Nike, and the excellence of his play puts him in a position to once again be a McDonald's All-American, even though he went to Auburn.
Bruce, do you recall the first time you saw Sharif and what stood out to you at that time?
The first time I saw him probably over at McEachern or in a tournament, and he was itty-bitty, but he was slippery. And I looked at him right away and said, there's the next Jared Harper. And he's gotten bigger now. He's bigger than Jared already, taller, longer. And I think the fact that he saw Jared's body change and he saw the work that Coach Davis did. Pound for pound, Jared Harper was our strongest player. He just didn't weigh very many pounds. And I think even though he's got a different body type than Jared, I think he understands that he's got to continue to physically develop, not only for this level, but the next level. And again, I remembered the family just being very appreciative of the fact that I saw it too. There was no talking me into it, and they stayed really loyal.
From a roster management situation, I guess you really needed a point guard in this class.
Yeah, the point guard was something that we had been kind of not understanding we would need. Primarily thinking to replace Jared, not just Javon. I think that shooting has always been a premium for us, and getting a chance to get such a high IQ, great shooter, hard worker, chip on his shoulder guy like Justin Powell was always a no-brainer. And then I'll take guys like Chris all day, every day. Now we still have 2 scholarships available. We absolutely need 1, maybe even 2 frontline players, but that's to be determined. That's in the works. At least 1 for sure, and that would round out a really good group. Great kids, great families. I mean, great kids, great families. That's all 3 of them. It's hard for me to remember in 30 however many years I've been doing this, a group of kids and families who are stronger than these 3 altogether. Just tremendous.
Big picture-wise, how much have you been able to transform this basketball program through your recruiting efforts over the last 5 years? Well,
listen, I'm a much better coach when I have better players, and I don't know that there aren't many coaches that are different than that. But I think that what it matters to me. Here's what matters to me: that if Chuma Okeke comes in here ranked in the upper 40s, and he leaves here 16, that matters. if Isaac Cordell comes in here, in the upper 30s, and he leaves here in the top 10, that's what matters to me. And so, it matters to me that 5 guys from last year's team are playing professional basketball, and a couple of them in the NBA. That's what really matters. That's what our job is here. So we're just going to continue to work, towards that. But there's no question, making good decisions on good players have been, like I said, the key is we haven't missed on many, and we haven't had to ask anybody to leave.
Kind of going off that, I think 5 of the top 6 signees in program history have now come since you've been here. Just what does that say about how far this program has come since you first got here?
It talks a little bit about the journey, but I'm just telling you, Auburn is easy to recruit to, and we recruit to Auburn. We recruit to Auburn family. We recruit to the community, the excellence in the university. We're a nursing school. We're an engineering school. We're a business school. We're a vet school. We're a football school. We're an equestrian school. We're a baseball school. We're a golf school. And we're a decent men's basketball school. And the proof is just in the pudding. And we just got to do a good job of identifying them and identifying them early. I will say one more thing about the changing in the legislation. This was the most difficult summer for me to navigate and be effective. The rules all changed, and I had a tough time evaluating this summer. There was so few days and I just wasn't able to get in and get those young ones done as much as I would like. I'm looking forward to they continuing to improve the model. Very much in support of the changes that they're trying to make. But it was difficult this summer for me to do my job.
A guy like Chris Moore, you see guys that they're like, well, this guy's a perfect fit for the way the game's played now. Do you see him as a guy that could have played in any era because of the style of play he does? He looks like he's a guy that could have played in the 80s and 70s or whatever.
Yeah, he's an old school guy. He don't look like no high school senior now, but he's humble. He's hungry. He came to Auburn for all the right reasons. It's hard to get a kid out of West Memphis, Arkansas, when Memphis and Arkansas are recruiting him. Great programs, great coaches. I say that with just all due respect. Auburn is a good fit, was a great fit, for Chris, because he's such a well-rounded, and I really do think that the atmosphere, the community, the Auburn family was what was able to make the difference there.
Everybody good?
I want to ask just a general basketball question.
Yeah.
5 games
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
getting
glad
ready to
you-
go to New
Yeah, let's
York.
go ahead and keep this going because I want to finish. I haven't talked about my team yet, so yeah.
Let's just how do you think the team's developed, and what are you going to get out of going to New York?
Well, this is it's kind of an opportunity for us. For the first time in a few weeks, we have a chance to get better and practice a little bit. 5 games was 13 days. It was when we were 5-0, there weren't many teams that had won 5 games at our point. I think one team in the country had 6, but a lot of preparations. We learned along the way through getting ready for different opponents. You can see the progress we've made since either the Division II exhibition game or our first game against Georgia Southern. But we still have a long, long way to go. And so there are lots of different things, like okay, so now New York. A couple things about going to New York. So we traveled to the Naval Academy and got a chance to experience that. And for our student athletes to visit an academy and see the incredible discipline and the sacrifice that were being made by those students and those young cadets. They left there with a different level of patriotism. Why go to New York and play? First of all, it's just, even from a guy that grew up in Boston, it's hard for me to say this, but New York there's a lot of basketball history in New York. And I respect that. So just like I want my teams to go to Kentucky and play good basketball, I want my teams to go to New York and play good basketball. I've had a little bit of both. Was in a preseason NIT event where we got smashed by North Carolina and beat by Butler when I was at Tennessee. And then we also went back to that event, and we were able to beat VCU, and then Jay Wright in Villanova, which was a great game, and it just meant a lot to me to be able to coach in Madison Square Garden and play good basketball. So we step up in competition now. The idea is to set up a schedule where you're going to be challenged, but going to be good enough to beat the people that you got on your schedule when you got them. If we'd have played this tournament at the start of the season, we would have lost both games for sure. We're in a position now where we're playing a little better. We have a chance to beat these teams. All are bigger, all are more athletic, all are more physical than the teams we've played up against at this point. So that's the next step. Can we handle the athleticism, the size, the physicality, the inside game, but mostly the physicality of these next two games? The other point is traveling to New York City, going to the 9/11 Memorial. Absolute must for our players. We went there a couple years ago when we played in New York against Boston College. I think only D'Angelo Purifoy and Anthony McLemore were the two that are making a repeat visit. The guys are going to get to go to an NBA game on Sunday night. They're going to go to Madison Square Garden and watch the Knicks and the Nets play in a pro game. It's huge. I mean, at least it is for me. I mean, maybe that's a big time deal. Get to see a real NBA game. It's where they all want to go. It's kind of like a practicum, and we have to pay for the tickets. NBA tickets aren't cheap. But I think Auburn kind of looked at it like, if we're training guys to be able to go to Wall Street and work at the stock market, they got to go get in the stock market. We've got some of those facilities on campus where they can, be like they're working in a brokerage. But sometimes you actually need to go see it. So that's what that is all about. So just a great opportunity to and a fun time of the year to be in New York. Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's really a great thing to be able to see it. So that's part of why we chose to go to play in Brooklyn.